Hello and welcome to It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Joining me today is Brett Wilson, a well-known Canadian entrepreneur based in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Brett.
I enjoy working with you, Mario. Let's roll.
Okay, let's roll. Let's ask, first of all, as a business owner and as a business investor, Brett, what is your thoughts when it comes to how government, both provincially here in Alberta and federally, have responded to the COVID pandemic in the past 9, 10 months?
It's hard not to be frustrated. If the science and the medical professionals could get their act together, then the politicians would have more reliable advice. But I watch Kenny, for example, just a couple of days ago, he relaxed a few of the rules around access to restaurants and gyms. He got vilified for relaxing it, and he got vilified for not relaxing it more. And again, if the science and those who are behind the science, our medical professionals, were more in tune. And one of the problems we've got, of course, is that many of these things become partisan or political. Watch what's happened in the US, you watch what's happened in other countries. The real issues, and let me rant for 2 seconds on this. I get enormously frustrated by people who are ranting about the politicians who travel. And I can turn to most people who rant and say, name 3 politicians who traveled, and they can't. The politicians who traveled are not influencers. They happen to be leaders, but they're not influencers. And we allow, for example, Justin Bieber and his girlfriend or wife and a bunch of his friends to go to Hawaii, and they make headlines for celebrating what they do on the beach. They are influencers. They're the people who lead us all wanting to go to the beach. There isn't a politician in the world that influences where I do my holidays. None. So should the politicians have traveled? No. Should they apologize? Yes. Should that chapter close? Immediately. The issues that we have at hand, 2. One is protect the elderly, and we've done a terrible job of that. You know that 90%, 80% of the people that have died have been in old folks' home over the age of 75, 80. So we haven't done a very good job of protecting the elderly. And number 2, we haven't done a very good job of getting the vaccine rolled out. And I believe the vaccine is equal to our new economy. Once we have the vaccine, we have a new economy.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the economy, when you look at entrepreneurs out there, small businesses, small business owners, what do they need to do to survive in these challenging times?
Well, patience is clearly a virtue, and being upfront. I'm a borrower, I'm a lender, I'm a landlord, I'm a tenant. And last April was one of the most difficult months of my life, having laid off 300 or 400 people in 2 or 3 businesses, and not sure when we were going to open. But I took an extraordinary amount of time with my tenants and my landlords, because again, I run businesses that rent space, and we cut deals wherever we could. And by the end of April, early May, we had signed letters and deals done with all of our tenants, all of our banks, all of our borrowers. Everything was done. And I still hear people complaining about where they're at with their relationships. And I think some landlords put the screws to their tenants. I think some tenants assumed that there was that landlords would have no costs if they weren't open and operating. So we had to find common ground. We did. There's still lots of situations out there that are frustrating. So patience is a virtue, and a belief in the future. I fundamentally believe that we've underestimated how well the economy will come back. Timing's an issue, but with vaccine, people will mingle. There's talk of how the world has adapted to the new economy where people work from home. And I remind people quickly, services don't work from home, trades don't work from home, retail doesn't work from home. It's really challenging, and I'll put it bluntly, to advance your career working from home. You can do a job, but you can't advance because you don't have the coffee table chatter, you don't have the boardroom chatter, you don't have the opportunity to lead. It just isn't the same. So will we migrate back to offices? I'm 100% confident. As many as before, no, but I'm an optimist, and my businesses believe in that too.
Well, you touched on this, but I'd like you maybe elaborate a little bit more. You sound optimistic about the future of small businesses once we get through this pandemic.
Well, I am an optimist, and that's just because in the darkest, it's always darkest before the dawn. Um, I genuinely believe that the vaccine is an answer. I struggle with the anti-vaxxers. I accept that individuals might believe that they shouldn't have to get the vaccine, But you know what? I've been traveling. I've been to more than 70 countries in my life, and I've had to get diphtheria and what's the one? Yellow fever. I carry a passport proving that I have yellow fever when I travel Southeast Asia. And people here are objecting, saying, no, it's an infringement on my rights. I don't want to be told I have to wear a seatbelt, or I can't drink and
Mhm.
drive, or I have to have a vaccine. It's in the common interest to be vaccinated. And I believe that the bulk of the population will get there. I think when I do any polling, a third of the people responding say instantly, I will get a vaccine. A third say, I'll probably get it. And a third say, I don't think so. Well, that last one third, I think, will come around, especially as they start to realize that there's going to be hotels, chains, there's going to be restaurants, there's going to be travel lines, airlines who say, look, either you have an instant test, which is going to cost money, or you prove that you've been vaccinated. And therefore, the vaccine passport is just a given. I just think it's in our common interest.
Okay. As an investor, Brett, I'm just wondering what industries going forward you see have the most potential from an investment point of view.
Well, I've stayed long oil and gas because I fundamentally believe that the dip, if you will, there was a pretty severe correction, but it was going to be temporary. And you check every stock chart in the oil and gas industry, it plummeted in March, April, and it's continuously growing. And some of the great stories, the Canadian Naturals and Cenovus and Arc Energy, and I'm naming things I do own and I'm naming things I don't own, but they've all recovered. And I frankly believe that there's a lot more to come in those. The banking system has a big dust up with Revenue Canada right now, billions of dollars in debate, but billions of dollars is irrelevant to the banking system in Canada. It's just such a large industry. So I genuinely believe in the financial service stocks, that there's a lot of things that are going to happen as we continuously improve how we trade and transact. Then the obvious is and we've seen the benefits already. I'm a huge believer in buy local. I always joke about shop online, look online, then go buy local. And I think there's an awful lot of people who want to get out and walk the streets. Calgary, you want to walk 17th Avenue, you want to walk Kensington, you want to walk Inglewood. People want to get back out, and that's going to benefit the small businesses. The malls have managed to stay open, small businesses haven't.
Okay. Last question, and you touched a little bit on it, on the oil and gas industry. What needs to be done there, or what needs to happen there for it to continue to grow and to grow to even bigger heights?
Well, there's so many stories that are embedded in that question,
Yeah.
ranging from the province of Alberta is still challenging the groups who attacked our oil and gas industry, the foreign funded groups, who in turn benefited from the fact that their industry in the United States could grow while Canada didn't. And so they're pushing back, and there's threats from Eco-Justice and Greenpeace saying we'll sue you if you badmouth us. Well, they've been badmouthing us for a decade, so I look forward to that discussion. We still need practical reality to set in. We can't get a pipeline built from Western Canada to Eastern Canada. At the same time, the United States has proliferated its pipelines in the last decade, while we haven't. So currently, we're shipping oil from Alberta to BC through the Panama Canal, up the coast of the United States into the Maritimes and Quebec.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. So logic has to prevail, and at some point, the politics and the partisan rhetoric has to be wiped aside, and we got to get back to the practical reality of being an energy independent and an energy grow. And when I say energy grow, we should be part of the global economy. And fossil fuels, pro or con, doesn't matter. It's going to take a number of years, if not decades, many decades, to wean ourselves off of fossil fuels onto technologies that aren't yet proven. We still don't have batteries that work. With solar and wind cannot power our grid, because when there's no sun and no wind, you still need power. And I welcome the state of California to switch entirely to renewables and see what it's like being without power for 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay, super. Thanks again for joining us today, Brett.
You're welcome, Mario.
Okay, that was Brett Wilson, who is a well-known Canadian entrepreneur based in Calgary. This has been It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Thanks for joining me today.